Hey guys, so I've got a fun video for you today. I'm going to be talking about my 10 must-have luxury makeup products, and I am doing this video in collaboration with Jena Froese. She is one of my favorite YouTubers, and I just have to share with you how we actually met because it was so crazy. We actually ran into each other in Hawaii. Now, neither of us are from Hawaii. We happened to both be vacationing there last December in resorts next to one another, and we actually ran into each other in this like outdoor mall area. So I'm like shoving ice cream in my face, and I hear this Michelle, and I turned around and there was Jena, and I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe that we were running into each other in Hawaii. It was totally crazy. And then earlier this year, Jena actually had to come to Las Vegas, and so we met up again, and I actually vlogged about it. So if you guys didn't check out that vlog, you definitely should. But it was so much fun. We met up for lunch, we went shopping, I got to witness her purchase a Chanel bag. So if you like my content, you will definitely love Jena's content. She talks about high-end and luxury makeup as well. So definitely check out her channel and her video if you haven't already. I'm sure most of you guys already have, but I will leave a link to her video down below in my description box. Definitely check it out because we made sure that we did not have any duplicates. So what you're getting between the two of us is 20 luxury must-have products. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have all 10 of my products on my face. So I'll be doing cutaways of me applying them so you guys can see the products in action. So, you know, some of my products are like favorites. Some of my products are just iconic. I have one thing I'm going to mention that's actually kind of a category, and so I'm going to mention kind of a few things within that one category, so I'm counting that only as one. Sorry, Jena. But let's go ahead and start with primer. This Victoria Beckham Augustinus Batter Cell Rejuvenating Priming Moisturizer has become such a staple for me. I have just started using this, I think just this year. I think this product came out in January, and you're gonna see in my cutaway that I'm pretty much down to the bottom of this bottle. I like squirted it out, and I got one of those empty squirts, and so I'm getting nervous. So I'm gonna have to definitely order some more. But I should mention that I have dry skin, I have mature skin, and I really like products that make me look glowy, that give me a little bit of life. I really don't like a lot of matte products. And so this primer, it's like a light lotion, but it has a little bit of like just a teensy bit of like shimmer to it, and it just looks so beautiful on the skin. I feel like whenever I start with this product, I really can't go wrong. It like plumps up my skin, it's moisturizing, it has that beautiful finish. And so everything I put on top of it just has just this like really like lovely sheen to it. And again, that's what I really enjoy. If you like matte products, you're probably not gonna like anything that I'm gonna talk about. But this I feel like is just a must have if you like a little bit of sheen, if you like that kind of like lit from within kind of glow. Oh, this is such a great starting point. So that's the Cell Rejuvenating Priming Moisturizer from Victoria Beckham. So I'm not going to be talking about any foundations. I just did a top 5 favorite foundations. I felt like it would be a little bit redundant. And also when Jen and I were comparing notes, she has quite a few foundations mentioned, and her foundations are excellent picks. So I'm just gonna let you guys watch her video because those are wonderful. And if you wanna watch my top 5 favorite foundations, I will link that down below as well. But just for your reference, I am wearing the Surratt Dewdrop foundation, which is my all-time favorite foundation. So I have no foundations in my list, but I will talk about a concealer. And you guys know that I have been going really hard with this concealer. I love this concealer, and I've really come to depend on it. And I feel like whenever anyone asks me for a concealer recommendation now, I don't hesitate in naming this one. This is the Dior Forever Skin Correct. I have it in the shade 2N, and I have this on as concealer over the Surratt. I also use this alone if I just want to have kind of like a light coverage, partial coverage as my base instead of just putting foundation all over my face. This shade match is awesome. The formula is just so good. It's creamy. It's fairly typical for concealer, and I have to admit when I first got it, I didn't really have high hopes, but it just has such a natural skin-like appearance. It never creases. It doesn't fade strangely. It doesn't sink into fine lines. And not only does it work around my eyes, which I do think is like the trickiest area, but I can put it, you know, around my nose for like to cover up the redness. I can put it on like I have hyperpigmentation here, and it covers it all really, really well without looking like I have anything heavy on. It has the most coverage for the best texture that I've come across. It really has been like a game changer for me. I have not come across a concealer that has been so consistent, that works with all my different foundations, that works alone, and it hasn't like changed on me. I've had a lot of favorite concealers in the past and they get old quickly, they turn. It's really like ever since I used this one, it's like, oh, this is what concealer is supposed to behave like. So this, hands down, I feel like is a must-have for sure. Okay, next up is a product that is gonna be no surprise, but for me, this is a must-have in terms of setting powder, and this is the Kogan Do Natural Lighting Powder. I became a loose powder fan long before I got this. I was using the Clé de Peau loose powder, I was using the Chanel translucent loose powder. I had a whole bunch in my collection that I was playing around with, and a lot of them are very nice. Like the Chanel and the Clé de Peau, those are both matte setting powders. I don't think that they look dry on the skin, but there is like zero kind of sheen or glow to it at all. And I personally like a matter setting powder versus one that's too glowy. I like to leave that for highlighter. I like to leave that for finishing powder, which we'll get to. But this setting powder has just like this natural kind of sheen to it. It's very, very skin-like, so it's not matte where it looks just completely flat or dull. It really has like a little, like almost like a little satin to it. There's no glitter or any particles like that in this powder, but it just gives your skin like just a little something where it just really looks skin-like. And when I started using this, it's much like the Dior. It was like, oh, is this like what powder can look like? Because I felt like I was either dealing with matte powders or I was dealing with shimmery powders. There was nothing kind of like just in between there with just a little bit of like a skin-like finish until I came across this one. There are other ones in my collection that I feel like have it a little bit, but then they also have like teeny tiny micro glitters in there. I think they're also discontinued. There's like a YSL powder that I really like, but it has like teeny tiny little micro glitters in there. I mean, very faint. You probably can't even see it on the face, but I think it's discontinued at this point. So I'm glad I like this powder more than that one anyway. But this to me, it's a must-have. In terms of setting powder, I absolutely love it. All right, next up, bronzer, and this is another product you're probably not gonna be surprised about, but this is the Tom Ford Soleil Glow Bronzer in the shade Terra. This is like the third bronzer formula that Tom Ford has come out with. The first one was like a pressed powder, lovely, I have it in Gold Dust. The second one was this like baked product, which if you could pick it up on a brush and actually get it onto your skin, I thought it had a very nice like skin-like finish. It actually looked almost like a cream bronzer once you got it on, but it was very, very difficult to work with. It was just very, very difficult to pick up. Then they came out with this formula, which is kind of like a hybrid between those two, I feel like. It definitely is of like a pressed powder formula. It's closer to a pressed powder formula, but it's so creamy. And I remember when I first used this, I went in with a brush, I kind of just stabbed into it, and so I got so much powder kick up, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I think they overcorrected that second version baked bronzer situation. But once I got used to this formula and the consistency, whew, I have not really put this down. The formula is so good, and I love the Terra, even though I think it's kind of considered a little bit deeper than the Gold Dust, but the Gold Dust is warmer. And the Terra, I just found that I could use, it's a little bit more versatile because it is a little bit more neutral. I feel like it goes with any blush, it goes with any look that I'm going for, where again, the Gold Dust is just kind of like a little bit warm. But this formula is so good, and you'll probably see it in the two clips. So I do have a clip of me applying it, and you'll see that it, you know, goes on like a bronzer. It's very, very smooth. I love it. But in my next clip, when I talk about your must-have blush, you'll see me apply the blush, and I noticed it when I was kind of like looking in the viewfinder. You'll see that the bronzer looks even more like smoothed out, even though I didn't work it in anymore with a brush. But that's what's so special about this particular formula. I feel like it becomes kind of like one with your skin. It just like melds in, almost like it has like a cream-like appearance. It's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So this is my must-have bronzer. This is number 4 on my list. So number 5 on my list, This isn't even specifically the color, but this is the Chanel blush in Jersey. It's what I have on today. I absolutely love it. I think it's a great kind of like neutral blush. It has a little bit of peachiness in there, a little bit of warmth. It has a little bit of shimmer, like most Chanel blushes, but I would recommend any Chanel blush, any color that strikes your fancy. I don't think you can go wrong. They're all so, so beautiful. There's something about the way that they go on. They're not creamy at all. These are like baked products. So they're fairly dusty, but there's something about it that it just applies so smoothly. It's never ever patchy. I haven't experienced one dud from a Chanel blush, and I have quite a few. I did a whole Chanel blush video. I have quite a few, and none of them are duds. They all are super, super smooth. They all have like the right pigmentation. It's not overbearing. It's not scary where you feel like, there's like a high risk of looking like a clown. And they're not too faint, and they don't fade. I think that's probably one of my favorite qualities about the Chanel blushes. I never experience fading with them. No matter what I have on underneath, I could have no makeup on, just concealer, just foundation and powder. Like, it doesn't matter what it's sitting on. It applies the same way. It's smooth, it's pigmented, it doesn't fade. The quality of them is so high and so consistent. The only downside to them is that they are fragranced, and the fragrance definitely fades. Like, I've had this Jersey now for a little while, at least several months, and I feel like the fragrance has definitely faded. Like, I have to get up close. Other than that, I think you guys know I love these blushes. All right, next up, we're gonna talk about this highlighter. This highlighter, you know, for some reason, I don't use that often. I mean, I have a lot of highlighters, so it's hard for me to kind of get through all of them. But when I was putting together this video and, I was checking out Jena's list and everything, and I was looking at my collection, I was like, oh my God, this is a must-have. This is such a beautiful highlighter, and I really don't hear a lot of people talking about this, but this is the Burberry Fresh Glow highlighter, and I have this in the shade number 4, Rose Gold. I believe there's 4 shades altogether. I have like a nude gold, but I reach for the rose gold a little bit more because it has like a little bit more of like a skin-like kind of fleshy hue to it, which I think looks, a little bit more natural, as natural as a highlighter could look. So the formula is one of those Baked Gelée formulas. So it's a little bit difficult to pick up. I have to use like a dense natural hair brush, and even then I feel like I have to like run over it quite a bit. It definitely behaves a lot differently than like a pressed powder, but I will say it won't look like you have much on your brush, but as soon as you start kind of like applying it to your cheek, you're like, oh, okay, I have plenty of product on my brush. It's wet looking, it's glossy looking. I feel like, because I was just talking about the Ofra highlighters when I did my Samantha March collab video, it's a little bit toned down from an Ofra highlighter. Like, Ofra highlighters are really, really bright. This one is definitely, for me, in my collection, on the brighter side, but I still feel like it kind of just, it goes with my makeup. I don't feel like it's so loud. I don't feel like it's necessarily like a see me from space kind of highlight, but it is very, very bright, and it really has like a nice wet kind of like look to it. And I think what I love about this one in particular, I mean, I do love that Baked Gelée formula for sure, but I have a lot of Baked Gelée highlighters, but it's this shade, it's this rose gold. It's so good. And I think it's what makes this like high shine situation so wearable because of the tone. All right, we are on to number 7 on my list, and this is not going to be a surprise, but this is the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel. It's just good. It's good. It's probably the most boring thing to talk about. I don't get excited about brow products or mascara necessarily, but this is just, it's like I don't leave home without this, which is so weird. It's a brow product, but I absolutely love it. I use 2 colors, espresso and granite. Espresso's, dark brown, it's a little bit warmer, and granite is, it's like a dark brown, it's just cooler. There's a little bit of gray in there, and that's what I have in my brows today. And you can make your brows bold with it. You can keep them really natural. If I want to make my brows a little bit fuller, a little bit more bold, all I do is I'll just scrape the spoolie. I just scrape it along my skin, almost like I'm using it to color in. And it's great. If you don't want to do that and you just kind of want to like thicken the hairs, then you just kind of keep it to you know, the actual hairs and brushing it into your hair. If you want to make your brow hairs even thicker, you can just brush it in the opposite direction and really kind of like cover each hair. Brow gels in general are very versatile products, which I really like, but there is something about this formula. It's not too wet, it's not too dry. There are fibers in there, so it really helps to like thicken your brows naturally. It doesn't look too clumpy in any way. And I have tried so many other brow gels and nothing even comes close. It's the consistency of this brow gel that's so, so good. And they last forever. This is something that I use pretty much every single day. And I've had this since I think last October or November. It's still going strong. So I've just been having like a long time love affair with this fiber brow gel. And my next product is definitely one of my all-time favorite eyeshadow palettes, and that's the Natasha Denona Green Brown 28 pan palette. I love this palette. And I was really, really late to the game. This was, I think, Natasha Denona's like breakout product. Everyone loved this one and the blue purple, which I also have, which is also gorgeous, but I reach for this one much, much more. I love the browns, because I'm a neutral lover, but I also love green. I love green and green eyeshadows. So this one really, really spoke to me, and I finally purchased this, I think earlier last year, and I reach for this constantly, and it is what I have on my eyes today. I will split screen this and show you me applying this. There are so many different looks you can get out of it, which, you know, is expected. There are 28 shades to choose from, but I love all the different finishes. I love the quality of these shadows. These are so, so good. I love Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes, but I do feel like her later palettes, sometimes there's, you know, a little bit of inconsistency within like one palette, sometimes like one or two shades maybe just aren't quite as good as her others. But her 28 pan palettes, these are so good. Like, I have used every single one of these shades at least once, and they all perform beautifully. I love it. And same with the purple blue palette. I absolutely love them. And I feel like if you want to just dive in and get like one luxury eyeshadow palette and these colors speak to you, it's like you can't go wrong. You have plenty of these like matte shadows just to do like simple eye look, and then you have plenty of like metallic shades to like amp it up. It's just gorgeous. I love everything about this palette. What's next on my list is like a category, and the category is basically like a fancy lipstick case. So I have the Bond number 9 lipsticks here. These are refillable, really awesome. This is what I have on my lips today. This is Gramercy Park, and this is definitely one of my all-time favorites. We have the La Bouche Rouge lipsticks. These are also refillable. This case is leather. They have some vegan leather options. You can get your initials engraved. They have some really beautiful shades. I love this like top stitching detail. There's the La Bouche Rouge embossed in there. Just absolutely gorgeous. There is the recently released Hermes lipsticks. These are also refillable. Here is the orange bois color, which I have been absolutely loving. And then of course we have the House of Sillage bow tie lipstick cases. These are just absolute works of art. I don't think you can go wrong with any of these. This is the color that I have in there. I don't think you can go wrong with any of these, but just a kind of quick word on all of the actual formulas of the lipstick. I will say I think my favorite is still the Bond number 9. The formula of this lipstick I find to be very, very unique. It goes on opaquely, it goes on thickly. There's even almost like a little bit of a drag when you're, you know, kind of applying it straight from the bullet. At first I felt, this is really gonna feel like thick, and I don't really like feeling my makeup. But within a few minutes, it just, I don't know if it just melts. I don't know if it's, you know, kind of just sinking into your skin, but it feels like I have nothing on my lips. It is such a unique formula. I have never experienced anything like this Bond number 9 formula. It is phenomenal. I do hope they come out with more colors. So that's probably my favorite formula. The La Bouche Rouge formula, they are like a vegan, all natural kind of brand. So there are no preservatives in their lipsticks. And while I love the texture and the colors that they have, they go bad pretty quickly. Like I think this one unfortunately has gone bad. So while I think it's great that they're like this clean beauty brand, I think it's a little unfortunate that their lipsticks actually go bad quickly. The Hermes lipsticks, I love the formula. I don't think that there's anything negative to say about them. They're just not quite as special and unique as the Bond No. 9. But the colors that they have are great. They feel wonderful on the lips. I really like them. There's a very, very faint fragrance. It doesn't bother me, and I'm pretty sensitive to fragrances, but it has kind of like, I don't know, I've said this before, it's almost, I know it's one of their fragrances, but just kind of smells sweet, almost like sweet tarts. So that's the Hermes. And then the House of Sillage, their lipstick formula, it's almost balmy. I mean, they're very pigmented, and I wouldn't, you know, kind of categorize them as like a tinted balm, but there's something about their formula. You know how balms just kind of feel differently than a lipstick? These kind of feel more like a balm, and these kind of have like a sweet dessert kind of smell. And that's another thing why I love the Bond No. 9 lipsticks so much. Even though Bond No. 9 is a fragrance house, their lipsticks have no fragrance whatsoever, and that, yeah, that really is my preference, is just to not have any scent. So I think in terms of like fancy lipstick case, you can't go wrong with any of these. I mean, these are all just so, so stunning. But if I were to pick an actual formula, I would go with the Bond No. 9. All right, and last but not least, probably not a surprise either, but the Guerlain Meteorites. I love the meteorites. I use it as finishing powder. There's a little bit of a sheen to them, so I don't think, for me, it's not a setting powder. It's something that I like to use to buff into my skin because it gets very, very like smooth looking, and it just makes my makeup look incredibly airbrushed. And I use it in conjunction with, as you guys know, the Sonia G Face One brush, which this brush is a game changer because I've tried these with just like a powder brush. It's just not the same. It just doesn't look quite as seamless and burnished and buffed the way this brush will make this powder look. So it's really kind of like this combination, but since we're just talking about makeup, it's the meteorites. So when I'm just doing like, you know, just kind of like a general buffing of my cheek area, a little bit on my forehead, I just use the medium shade, but I do have the deeper shade. And if I feel like I need to buff out my cheek, bronzer, blush area, I'll use the deeper shade just to kind of make sure I don't lose much of the pigment while I'm buffing it in. And then I have a lot of the limited edition Guerlain ones, which have a lot more sparkle to them. And sometimes I'll buff out my highlight with it. And they're just beautiful. They're just a wonderful kind of like last step to your makeup routine, just to make everything look really, really seamless and give you this like kind of like pearly finish and make everything look really, really airbrushed. They're just wonderful. And they do have that violet scent, which I happen to enjoy, but it is fragranced. Again, not everyone's favorite, so I wanted to mention that. But those are my 10 must-have luxury makeup products. And thank you guys so, so much for tuning in. And as promised, I am doing a lot of small giveaways. So this video's giveaway is for a Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel in the color Espresso. I had a backup and I was like, you know what? Let's give this away because I feel so strongly about this product. And I feel like this is one of those things that most people are not gonna splurge on. So I figured, why don't I give it away and maybe share the love with someone? So I'll have the instructions on how to enter the giveaway down below in my description box, but if you guys have been watching my videos, it's the same deal. I'm doing a giveaway with the O for Samantha March collaboration. I'm also doing a giveaway with a Dr. Dennis Gross and Skin Store like box, special box, which is, it's awesome. That is on my top 5 blushes videos. So if you missed that, go to those videos and you'll see the directions on how to enter those giveaways under those videos. But for this video, we're gonna be doing the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel in Espresso. Again, directions down below. And don't forget to check out Jena's video. I'll have it linked down below as well. So thank you again so much for tuning in, and thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are all just being well and staying safe. Don't forget to comment down below with some of your luxury makeup must-haves. I love to hear from you guys, and subscribe down below if you haven't already. I'll see you in my next video.